Hello, this is Solomon Levis from WatchMojo.com, and today I'm going to be reviewing the novel The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton takes place in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1965, and the book officially came out in 1967. Well, let's get right to it. Let's talk about the plot of the novel, and the plot begins with the stasis. The stasis before the conflict of this novel is based on the protagonist Pony being an outsider, spending a lot of time by himself. He lives with his two older brothers, Soda Pop, who is 17, and Derry, who is 20 years old. Derry is the oldest of the three and is very overprotective with Pony and is hard on him. Meanwhile, Soda Pop is a chill middle child who Pony most gets along with. The family's parents died in a car accident. The trio is in a gang called the Greasers, while their rival gang are the West Side Socials. Now let's talk about the trigger of the conflict. The trigger of the entire conflict of this novel begins when Johnny and Pony sneak into a drive-in movie and talk to two social girls, Sherry and Valance. A fellow Greaser member, 2-Bit, joins them at the drive-in. When seen walking with them in the street, two social members, Randy and Bob, almost ignite a fight, but the girls break it up. Ponyboy and Johnny fall asleep in the park, and Ponyboy wakes up at 2 a.m. Pony wakes up realizing that it is past his curfew and that Derry was going to be very pissed at him. Pony would get home and would be met by screams from Derry. Pony would meet Johnny in the park telling him that they should run away. When walking in the park, the blue Mustang pulls up and 5 socials get out of the car. Pony and Johnny recognize Bob and Randy, Marshall and Valance's boyfriends. Bob tells a social to give Pony a bath, and suddenly Pony wakes up with Bob on the floor and Johnny with a knife in his hand. This is the start of it all. Now the quest of this novel is when Pony and Johnny look to an older greaser, Dally, for help. Dally gives them $50 and a loaded gun and tells them to hide out in an abandoned church in a mountain. While in the mountain, Pony and Johnny spend a lot of time together and understand each other. Now the surprise of the novel is when Dally comes to the church and takes the boys to Dairy Queen. Dally tells Pony that Derry and Soda have been worried sick about him and miss him very much. At this moment, Pony realizes his brother loves him. The critical choice of the entire novel is when Johnny decides to turn himself in to the police and claim self-defense. Pony and Dally are very surprised, but Johnny thinks it's the best thing to do. However, upon returning to the church, they see the church caught on fire with little kids inside. The Greasers decide to go inside and save the children. They manage to save the children, but Dally has bad burns and a piece of roof fell on Johnny's back. The story reaches its climax when the Greasers and Socials have their final rumble. Through a tough fight, the Greasers prevailed. However, upon returning to the hospital, Dally and Pony meet a dying Johnny, where Johnny delivers an infamous line, "Stay gold, Pony boy." Dally rages and steals from a store, then tries to shoot an empty gun onto police, at which he is met with gunshots and his end. When I was reading the novel, this is what I thought Dally did to get himself killed.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Bam! The finger gun!
I want every gun we have to fire on that man.
Now the reversal of the novel is when the rivalry between the Sox and Greasers has seemingly ended. However, Pony is struggling following the events, being in over his head, thinking that everything that happened was his fault. Now the new stasis of the novel, or the resolution, is when Pony isn't back in school and is failing his English class. However, his teacher recognizes his talent and says if he writes a good English paper, he'll pass. This is when Pony starts writing the first sentence of The Outsiders. Now, the plot archetype of this entire novel is overcoming the monster. It is overcoming the monster because Pony and Johnny wanted to end the rivalry between the Socials and Greasers, while in the end, the cost was the lives of Bob, Johnny, and Dally. They were still able to stop a useless rivalry. Now, let's talk about the character archetypes. The hero of this novel is, of course, Ponyboy Curtis. Ponyboy is the clear-cut hero in this novel. Pony is the narrator and protagonist of this story, and it is from his point of view. The drama and plot revolve around him and his life, and it is his job to end the rivalry between the Socials and Greasers. The ancient mystagogue is Dallas Winston, or Dally. Dally is the ancient mystagogue in the novel. After Johnny killed Bob, Ponyboy and Johnny went to Dally for help before anyone else. He knows exactly what to do and where they should go. Dally is one of the top leaders in the Greasers, although leadership is never mentioned in the novel. The enemy in this case is the Socials. The Socials are the West Side rich, snobby gang and main antagonists in The Outsiders. The gang normally drives around in expensive cars while insulting and intimidating their rival gang, the Greasers. The rivalry is based upon lower class versus upper class. The Socials are a very diverse gang, as half of the gang is ruthless, for example Bob, but there are ones with sympathy and respect for the Greasers like Sherry and Randy. Now let's talk about the themes of the novel. One big and major theme of the novel is the battle between different social classes. The entire plot of the novel is based on the West Side rich Socials versus the East Side Greasers. The reader can tell that this rivalry is based on the rich kids trying to pick on the lower class kids because of what is going on in their own lives. Ponyboy explains how the rivalry is shaped in the novel. Another theme that is definitely in the novel, but not always present, is love. The theme of love is present between the Curtis family. Between losing their parents and having eternal battle with each other, they are still able to recognize the unity and connection the family has. And that just about does it for the in-depth review Watch Mojo has given the novel The Outsiders. I, Solomon Levis, would give the novel a 4.5 out of 5. I think the novel catches the attention of many readers who simply just don't like to read, and that includes me. The story relates to many teenagers and creates characters that people remember forever. And that was my review on The Outsiders. Please leave a like and comment on this video. We're on the road to 2 million subscribers. Let's go, bro.